Hi guys, and welcome back to another VGC 2019 Sun Series Pokemon guide, and in today's guide we're going to be looking at the almighty Pokemon Kyurem-Black. So we've already covered Kyurem-White, and we had requests from a lot of you guys to cover Kyurem-Black as well. So here we are with the guide on Kyurem-Black. I found this pretty tricky, but we'll get into why when we get into the guide. So Kyurem-Black from the Black and White series, Black and White 2 series, is an interesting Pokemon. But before we get into anything, as always, we have a lot of other VGC 2019 Sun Series guides. They'll all be linked in the top right hand corner. Now if you want to go over to the playlist, check out things like Kyogre, Xerneas, Yveltal, Groudon, all of the Pokemon. We've covered quite a few so far. We've got a couple left to do. So in today's one, I hope you enjoy it. It is going to be Kyurem-Black, and without further ado, let's jump into it. As always though, leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any content on the channel, because we have a lot more guides and things coming out. They'll be not around Pokemon, but they'll be around formats and teams and things like that. So we will have other content. So for that reason, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to, obviously. So Kyurem-Black, as you can see, like Kyurem-White, its typing doesn't change. It is an Ice Dragon type Pokemon. It has the ability Turbo Blaze, so it keeps that Zekrom ability, nullifying abilities of other Pokemon, a bit like Mold Breaker. But unlike Kyurem-White, it does have a little variation in its base stat totals. It's got the same base stat total of 700, but 125 HP, 170 attack, 100 defense, 120 special attack, 90 special defense, and 95 speed. So a nice speed stat of 95. Outspeeding a lot of other restricted Pokemon, putting it on par with things like Rayquaza, Tapu Lele, and Kyurem-White, of course, as well. Its biggest stat is obviously going to be its 170 attack stat, which is just ridiculous. It's got a nice and not bad 120 special attack stat, and its defense stats aren't too bad either. 125 HP, 100 defense, and 90 special defense. So not bad all in all. Its typing, Ice Dragon, is not bad either. It is weak to fighting Rock, Steel, Dragon, and Fairy, which isn't ideal. Resists Water, Grass, and Electric. It's got no immunities and then hit normally by everything else. So its weaknesses, defenses, exactly the same as what Kyurem-White would be. It's just it operates in a slightly different way. So that is an overview of Kyurem-Black. Let's get into the more interesting things and look at sample sets. So the first sample set we're going to look at, again, is going to be quite a common item that you're going to see run on Kyurem-Black. I think it's the most popular chosen item on it at the moment, which is the Life Orb with that adamant nature. EV spread of 244 HP, 252 attack, 12 special defense. Pretty straightforward. It's just been there. The Life Orb maximizing its attack stat, 170 base. The EVs are maximizing that even further, and then you've got a moveset of Protect. Either Iron Head, Stone Edge, Dragon Claw, and Fusion Bolt are the more common move slots on it. Basically just taking advantage of access to Fusion Bolt with it. Unfortunately, unlike Zekrom, it doesn't get stab on its electric type attacks. It isn't an electric type, but it does have access to electric type attacks. Dragon Claw is its other option there. Iron Head and Stone Edge just give it a little bit extra coverage against things that may cause it a few problems, and with the Life Orb, it's just hitting that a little bit extra harder. So yeah, one of the big problems I would say with Kyurem-Black over Kyurem-White is it doesn't really have access to a solid physical ice type attack that you really want to be taking and making use of. I feel like if it did, it would be a lot more viable in this format. I think the fact that it doesn't get anything like Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, anything really, it makes it a lot harder to utilize in this format, and really kind of, yeah, it's a real drawback for it. And its move pool is not ideal, you know. Reshiram combining with Kyurem-White has access to Fusion Bolt, it has access to Ice Beam, it has access to Blizzard, and they're things that you can utilize with Kyurem-Black, but it kind of detracts away from its huge attack stat. Really, you want to be making the most out of that, and like if you're wanting to go down a special route, then I would just suggest using Kyurem White over Kyurem-Black all day long. So that's the first sample set we've got. We are going to have a few more interesting ones as we go through, but I will just state that now. I think the fact that it doesn't get a stab ice type attack to take advantage of that huge 170 base attack, it does like put it at a slight disadvantage to most of the other restricted Pokemon. Anyway, moving on to the next sample set. It's going to be a 50% berry set. This gives you an idea of some of the things that Kyurem-Black can do in the format. So we've got an adamant nature just to maximize that attack stat. We've got an EV spread of 124 HP, 44 attack, 52 defense, 252 special defense, and 36 speed. It's holding a Figgy Berry or any other berry like Mago, a Guave, Ayapapa Berry, anything along those lines. I would always probably just chuck a Figgy Berry on it though, just for the ease. And a moveset of Protect, either Iron Head, Zen Headbutt, Stone Edge, Ice Beam, are all moves you could have in that third slot. Dragon Claw, and then Fusion Bolt. Like I've said in the previous sample set, its move pool isn't that deep, so if you're wanting to go down the physical route with it, you're going to be quite limited in the options that you've got there. And basically what this EV spread allows you to do is survive an adamant Sunsteel Strike from a 252 attack Solgaleo, which is pretty nice because you can't intimidate that thing. You are going to be weak to steel type attacks as well, because remember that you aren't part electric, you are still Ice Dragon. You do survive a timid 252 special attack Xerneas Moonblast, which is very nice, and after an Icy Wind on your opponent's side of the field, you will be able to outspeed all base 110s after an Icy Wind drop, which is pretty nice. So it's got a few things going for it. It is going to be able to handle things like Kyogre really easily. Groudon's going to be a bit more difficult because with something like Fusion Bolt, you're not going to be able to damage it. It's going to be really strong defensively anyway, so in these kind of cases, although you're not weak to the ground type attacks like Zekrom is, you may want to go down an Ice Beam route just to give yourself a little bit of coverage against that Pokemon as well. Obviously you've got options like maybe Iron Head over the Dragon Claw there as well, because Dragon type attacks aren't as viable as they used to be in a format full of fairies and things like Misty Terrain and things like that, really detracting from that. But aside from that, this set can perform pretty well, and I think this is one of my more favourable sets that I would probably try and utilise if I was to run Kyurem-Black in this format. So moving on to the next sample set, is going to be a choice band set. So we're going with a Jolly Nature just to make sure that we're getting the most of that 95 speed stat, making sure that we do outspeed the majority of other things on the field without speed control, without scarfs and things like that. We've got a really standard EV spread, just 4 HP, maximising that attack stat, maximising the speed stat, and then throwing on, you've got any amount of options here. Well, you haven't really, because we've already said how shallow its move pool is, but you've got Zen Headbutt, Stone Edge, Ice Beam, I think are probably the slots that you want to kind of interchange there. If you're running Psychic Terrain, then maybe Zen Headbutt's a good option there. And you take out Iron Head, you maybe throw on Ice Beam. Dragon Claw you could maybe interchange with Stone Edge, but I'd say the one thing that you do want to keep on this set is going to be Fusion Bolt, because that is its big kind of draw to using Kyurem-Black over Zekrom. But I'd still say Zekrom's probably that little bit better than Kyurem-Black, just because of its other options that it does have outside of Kyurem-Black. So that is that sample set. We're going to tag in the Power Herb set because we have the Power Herb set from Kyurem White, so why not throw it onto Kyurem-Black? And it's probably more viable on Kyurem-Black because of the reason that I've said. It doesn't get really any physical type, ice type attacks that you can really utilize. The only one that it gets is Free Shock, which is its signature attack, which is a charging move with the Power Herb. You skip the charging turn and you get that attack off straight away. So it is a big powerful, it's almost like a Z move if you can get it off. Again, going with an Adamant Nature here, 4 HP, 164 attack, 4 defense, 116 special defense, and 220 speed. So the speed allows you to outspeed all positive nature max speed base 90s, which is really nice. And you are able to survive a 252 special attack Tapu Lele Moonblast with this investment, and then that allows you to hopefully get off the free shock onto things like you will pick up a kill on Groudon. You're going to be doing a lot of damage to stuff that's hit neutrally by it and stuff that's obviously weak to it as well. Other than that, we went Protect, Dragon Claw, and then Fusion Bolt as its other moves. So that is that sample set. Next one we're going to look at is a Choice Scarf set. A bit like how Zekrom kind of performs, it's along the same similar sort of lines. It's a good check to Scarf Kyogre if anything. We've went Adamant Nature. You've got 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 special attack, speed, sorry, and it's not really doing anything fancy here. It's just outspeeding things. It's going to be hitting things hard and hopefully catching your opponent off guard. Again, with the moveset here, we're pretty tied to what we can do. Zen Headbutt, Stone Edge, Ice Beam options there. Iron Head again, it's not a bad option. It's got a chance to flinch. Hits fairies really hard. Dragon Claw, you're going to be pretty much your only stab option there outside if you're not using Ice Beam, and then Fusion Ball as well for that big electric type attack that can hit quite a few things in this format for very effective, good damage. So the next and last sample set that we're going to look at is a sample set that I do like a lot as well. So it's probably the other one that I would say maybe try this one out if you're going down a Kyurem-Black route, and that is the Electric Seed set. Adamant Nature, 20 HP, 252 attack, 12 defense, 156 special defense, and 68 speed. So we've got Protect. Again, we're just throwing in these moves. Nothing's really changing with move slots here with Kyurem-Black, and I do feel like it does struggle for options with how the combination of its typing, the combination of its move pool, the combination of its base stat distribution. I feel like you're very tied to what it can do in this format. So this is one of the reasons why I feel like its movesets are going to be very generic, very similar throughout this guide in particular, unfortunately. But you've got the things like Iron Head, Zen Headbutt, Stone Edge, Ice Beam, or again Dragon Claw and Fusion Ball are the other options there, and it will just depend on your team, what you need it to do, what you need it to cover. You can kind of cater to a certain extent in that third option slot, or the second and third option slots, what you go for between this pool that we've highlighted here. The EV spread allows you to survive an Adamant, Life Orb, Sunsteel Strike from a Solgaleo, which is pretty nice after the Electric Seed boost. And you also survive a Tapu Lele Moonblast, and you KO in return with a Fusion Bolt under Electric Terrain, which is pretty nice. So the Electric Terrain boosts a Fusion Bolt with the Electric Terrain boosting that electric type attack, so it does give Kyurem-Black a little bit more going for it, and a bit more threatening as well. So that is that. They're the sample set examples. Now let's move on to partners. So the first partner we're going to look at is Tapu Koko. So Electric Surge, Electric Fairy typing. It does bring that electric terrain to the field, which is so important for the seed set. If you are running that, you need the electric terrain to activate your seed. It also protects you from sleep status, which is also something that's very commonly used in this format and would put the stoppers on Kyurem pretty quickly, especially most of the sleeping type Pokemon like Amoonguss, Venusaur are weak to ice type attacks, but that's something that you're probably not going to carry too much if you're not running Ice Beam. It maybe highlights the fact that you might want to go down an Ice Beam route as well. It does have 120 base special attacks, or it is something that you could look at. It just feels very wasteful when you've got that 170 attack stat like we've already mentioned, and if you want to go down that route, I would just use Kyurem White instead of Kyurem Black. But we digress, because what else does Tapu Koko offer us? It offers a fast pivot to help reposition board positioning and things like that, get something in that's going to help out and support Kyurem Black a little bit better, whilst having the terrain up already. The fairy typing is a nice defensive switch for the dragon type of threats that are coming on to Kyurem Black, and it also helps boost its electric type attacks, that Fusion Ball with the electric terrain up on the field. So there's Tapu Koko. Next one is going to be Tapu Fini, another Tapu here. We've got the Misty Surge this time and Water Fairy typing from Tapu Fini. The Misty Terrain is going to help with status conditions. One of the big status conditions that Kyurem Black worries about outside of sleep is going to be getting burned, because it is going to be relying on hitting hard with that physical side of the spectrum, so being burnt is not something that it wants to contend with. The Misty Terrain protects against that. You've got access here to self-swagger, you've got soak strategies here as well that you could pair up with Tapu Fini. You've got Heal Pulse as well, which is a nice option. The Fairy typing, again a bit like Tapu Koko, is a nice switch in for Dragon type threats, and his support as well on Tapu Fini does allow you to kind of deal a little bit better with the likes of Xerneas and things setting up, and also getting rid of Intimidate, Shuffling as well on your side of the field. So all in all, Tapu Fini is quite a nice pairing alongside Kyurem-Black. Next partner we're going to look at is Dialga. So Dialga is another Dragon type. It is a Dragon Steel type Pokemon. It has the ability Pressure. The Steel typing offers good support against opposing fairies. It's not ideal, but it does offer some support against them with things like Flash Cannon. You've got a Trick Room switch as well with Dialga, so the option there for speed control. It can help support Kyurem-Black if you're going a bit slower than more faster offensive sets, and it's an excellent switch into those rock type threats that will put a lot of hurt onto Kyurem if you're facing down against that. And depending on the variant of Kyurem, it can offer support versus ground type threats to Dialga. So if you're running that Free Shock or Ice Beam, you can alleviate some of the pressure that is maybe forced down on Dialga a little bit with that. So again, quite a nice pairing, quite a unique typing between the two, but I don't know if I'd go down this restricted pairing if I was going into a tournament, but it is a pairing that's worth considering if you are using Kyurem-Black. Next pair is going to be the partner in Pokemon Landorus Therian form. So it has the Intimidate ability, it has Ground and Flying as its typing. It does offer Intimidate support to Kyurem-Black to help bolster those defenses against those Steel type, Rock type attacks that are so threatening to it. The Ground typing is an excellent check to Steel and Rock types in general, and again, you've got a fast pivot for board positioning with Landorus, especially if you go like a Scarfed variant or something like that, so to shuffle the Intimidates from your side of the field. So nice partner all in all for Kyurem-Black. You've got to be like, and the thing is with Kyurem being part ice, it is neutral to ice type attacks, so it does alleviate a little bit of that ice weakness from the Landorus Therian as well, so it's not all bad, I guess. But they are that Pokemon, and then we've got the next partner in Pokemon is going to be Alolan Ninetales. Don't know why Alolan Ninetales looks so pixelated in this picture, so I do apologise about that, but you can make it out, it is Alolan Ninetales there. I don't even know why I haven't, it's not even Alolan Ninetales, it's Landorus Therian in disguise, so we need to change this. I can't believe I haven't done this. Alolan Ninetales. So there we go. The Alolan Ninetales has the ability Snow Warning, so it brings hail to the field for 5 turns when it is activated, so it does help out with weather control and things like that, and it is a fairy and ice type Pokemon. So Kyurem-Black, I think the rest of the set is alright, but Kyurem-Black does have access, if you want to go down a special route, it does have access to things like Blizzard, so that Snow Warning ability can potentially support that, and you can go down that route. But again, I'd probably go more down a Kyurem-White route if you're going down a special side, because Kyurem-White, unlike Kyurem-Black, has 170 special attacks, so it can get a lot more damage off than Kyurem-Black can, although Kyurem-Black can throw out Fusion Bolts, which Kyurem-White can't. Anyway, so you've got Aurora Veil support from Alolan Ninetales, which does help out a lot, bolster those defenses on both sides of the spectrum. You've got the weather support, which you've already mentioned. The speed control there from Alolan Ninetales with Icy Wind that can really help out Kyurem-Black, help it perform a little bit better. And the fairy and ice typing is really nice for opposing dragon type threats. Both are going to be heavily weak to steel types though, so if you play this partnership, then you need to have specific checks throughout your team for this Pokemon, for this pairing as well. So that rounds off that. We're going to look at the next partnering Pokemon, which I think is pretty good with Kyurem-Black, and that's going to be Cresselia, and we have filled in all the marks correctly here. So we've got Cresselia, it's got Levitate, it is a Psychic type Pokemon, it offers good speed control options with Trick Room and Icy Wind support to help Kyurem-Black just get the most out of it in a game. You've got good defensive switching for fighting type threats that Kyurem-Black doesn't like to go down against, and good offensive typing as well for those fighting type threats as well. And then Cresselia offers Also, all sorts of support and options like Helping Hand, Ally Switch, lots of things like even Skill Swap is an option there. But Cresselia, not a bad Pokemon. It is bulky enough to come in and support something like Kyurem-Black and help it operate like you want it to operate in game. So they're the partnering Pokemon. Threats and counters, we're going to look at obviously steel types because of its ice typing. It is going to be weak to steel type attacks. Kartana, Solgaleo, Dustman, Necrozma, Stack Attack are just a few to name here that are going to cause all sorts of problems, and because you lack any sort of fire type attack, unlike Kyurem White, you've got really no means to hit these Pokemon very hard. And most of these Pokemon as well, most steel types are going to be very strong defensively, which kind of goes against you even further with Kyurem-Black. So things that you're going to really need to check for in this format if you are running Kyurem-Black are steel types. Fairy types are going to be another typing that cause you all sorts of problems. Xerneas, Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele, Tapu Koko, all going to threaten you, and although you can hit them for decent damage because most of them are going to be weak or weaker on the defensive side of the spectrum, you still have to be very careful about going up against them. Xerneas is going to be able to outspeed you, Tapu Lele speed tying with you, Tapu Koko going to outspeed you. The only one I would say you'd probably be able to deal with quite comfortably if you support it well enough is Tapu Fini. But again, if you get into a position where you're slower than it and it can throw out a Moonblast, you're not in the best position there. Dragon types, again, are going to be very threatening to Kyurem-Black. And, you know, you're not going to be able to KO something like Dialga very easily with the coverage options that you've got offensively. So it is going to be able to throw dragon type attacks back at you and probably pick up KOs. So it's again something that you need to have checks against. Palkia going to outspeed you, Naganadel going to be able to outspeed you and do some big damage. And then you've got the black and white pairing there of Reshiram and Zekrom that are also going to be problematic to deal with, and can probably deal with Kyurem-Black a lot better than can deal with you, unless you do have dragon type attacks if you're on. But then you've got to worry about misty terrain. If that is a thing, then those dragon type attacks are going to be weakened, and although it's helping both sides of the field, you've got to worry then about the fairy threat as well as the dragon threat in front of you. Walls and checks, Bronzong, Ferrothorn, again, like we've already mentioned, you don't have access to a fire type attack, so for the most part these Pokemon in particular are going to be able to sit in front of you. They are going to threaten with their steel type attacks. They're going to be able to do a lot of damage and kind of put the stoppers on what Kyurem-Black can do. And this is why I would always suggest, maybe if you're thinking about Kyurem-Black, maybe look at Kyurem White as an alternative. You can always tech in some sort of electric type attack as well, or an electric type attacker to cover those those slots that Kyurem-Black kind of covers in place of Kyurem White. So all in all, I don't know really what to say about Kyurem-Black. I think it's got a niche to fill in the format. I would say it's not one of the best restricted Pokemon, and it's just because it really does suffer, like we've said throughout this guide, from the fact that it just doesn't get a very reliable physical ice type attack, and I think that is a big drawback from it. And if you want to go down an ice route, Kyurem White ticks all the boxes for you across the board. So I would always say, and it's probably why it is the more used out of the two, Kyurem-Black's usage is very low, and probably for good reason as well. I think it will struggle in this format, but like I say, it does have some niches and it can perform some roles. But again, I think Kyurem White covers everything that you need it to, and it can perform those roles a lot better than Kyurem-Black does. So that will round up this guide. I hope you've enjoyed it, guys. It has given us a bit of an overlook of how Kyurem-Black can operate within this format. It can do some work, but I don't know. I think it's a very difficult Pokemon to get good consistent results with. But I would love to hear your comments down in the comment section below, so do leave them what your thoughts are on this guide, and I hope for those of you that did request a guide on Kyurem-Black have enjoyed this, and do let me know what your thoughts are on this. If you have enjoyed the guide, as always, do leave a like. Make sure you do check out our other guides as well in the Sun series that we've already complete. Like I said, I mentioned at the start of this guide, I have already linked that in the top right hand corner, so do go and check those out, and we'll be back very soon with another guide in this series. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching, guys. Hope you're all well. Have a great evening. Thanks again, and until next time, I will see you then. So till then, take care and bye bye.